Really referring to only the thought. Thought process is the most surface element of your mind. I think because of European thought, we have given too much significance to the thought. In the yogic science, we do not attach any importance to what you're thinking about or feeling right now, because what can you think? Only the data that you have collected, you're recycling it, it's of no great consequence. Whatever is on the surface of your mind keeps rolling, that is not of any consequence. What you're thinking and feeling right now is very surface of mind. There are deeper dimensions of the mind. In Sanskrit language, there are many words to describe the different states of mind. But now there is one aspect of the mind, for lack of time and stuff, I'll leave those things. There is one aspect of the mind which we refer to as chitta. Chitta is the innermost core of the mind, which is your connection with what we are referring to as consciousness. If your chitta becomes conscious, if your chitta acquires a certain level of conscious control, if you acquire, now you have access to your consciousness. What we are referring to as consciousness is that dimension which is neither physical, nor is it electrical, nor is it electromagnetic. It is a quantum leap from physical to non-physical dimension. A non-physical dimension being the lap of the existence. It is the non-physical in whose lap the physical is happening. Physical is a small happening. In this cosmos, not even 2% or not even 1% is physical, rest is non-physical. This non-physical dimension, in the yogic terminology, we use a specific sound which is connected with that dimension. Today it's all very highly distorted. We call this Shiva. That means that which is not. When we say Shiva, we are not referring to some man sitting up there. We are talking about a dimension which is not, but it is in the lap of this dimension, everything that is happens. So if your chitta becomes even mildly conscious, your ability to not only communicate an idea or a thought, even to deliver something is possible. Physically deliver something is possible. So, is it a possibility? Definitely it is. Right now, can we teach it to all these people? In theory, yes. But are they willing to work towards it? That's a question mark. One big problem is, our education systems are such, we have glorified our thought to such a place. First, to bring that down itself will take time. To make them understand the stupidity of their thought, it will take a whole lot of time. Because everybody thinks they're smart, but actually the smartest thing about most people is their phone. Because your thought process is just an outcome of the limited data that you have gathered. It doesn't matter if I have read the libraries of the world, still it is too limited compared to what it is, what the creation is. With all the scientific development, we still do not know how a leaf really works. We do not know how a single atom in its entirety we do not know with all the scientific exploration. So that should be humbling enough for everybody to know that we know how to use things, but we do not know what it is. It will take lifetime of attention to even grasp the fundamentals of what it is. So if people are willing to first of all understand, like the whims of their heart you just dismissed as dumb, okay? If they also understand the so-called smartness of their thought process and emotion is quite dumb, now it becomes easy. It becomes easy to train people that communication it's not like, now I want to generate this thought and give it to you, not like that. Things will happen to you before you think. What is best for you will simply happen to you even before you articulate in your mind. You don't have to ever think what you want to become, how you want to be. Life will just arrange itself. An intelligence beyond what you can contain in this bone box starts working for you, and it'll work. You heard of Ramanujam and others, just opened a window with their Devi and he becomes that kind of a mathematician. which is, even today after 1 century, they're still trying to figure out what he said. And the mathematical calculations that he gave is the backbone for describing the black holes in the universe. When he was there was no word called black hole. Nobody knew there is such a thing. When we say black hole, what we are talking about is the curve of time and gravity, which is something modern science is battling with. He made mathematical background for that. As the curve increases, what is in existence, physical existence, becomes non-existence. So this is what it is when we say yoga. You reduce the curve in such a way that what is largely physical becomes non-physical. Once it's non-physical, time and space is not an issue. Once time and space is not an issue, communication is simply there.
About 20 years ago, Sadhguru, I received a check for 1 lakh rupee from a retired major from Indian Army. He just gave his name, he refused to, he didn't give his address. And he wrote a small note stating that the money I am giving you is too small for the path you have chosen. But God has His own mysterious ways of giving you the rest. It had a tremendous impact in what I thought, what I wanted to do. Is it because there is something called cosmic forces which are constantly trying to help society and doing, or it's something else which is influencing people to do something which is beyond their means?
See, the ideas of something wants to help, something reaches out to you. I happened to be about 4 weeks ago, I was in Los Angeles and I was staying with some people there. And the bedroom was full of books, so I just picked up one of these books and so on. The author is saying, the core of the universe is love. Why would the core of the universe be love? Because this thing has been always told to people, from heaven God loves you, all these people. See, if you're having a roaring love affair right now with somebody next to you, here, will you look up and ask for rays of love to come towards you? I'm asking. No, you made yourself in such a way nobody can love you. Now, only God can love you. If you say, God loves me, you must know you are such a pathetic, despicable case. If you made yourself in such a way nobody can help loving you, you are a wonderful human being, isn't it? So, we need to understand, there is something called human thought and emotion, human needs, emotional needs of love, care, touch, this. The cosmos, or what you're referring to as the source of creation or divine, or if you want to use the word God, because God personifies thing, we will refuse to use that word. Let us say whatever is the source of creation, which we are referring to as God generally by religious… Essentially, it is just an intelligence which is simply exploding into everything possible. If you're in rhythm with it, you will rise. If you're not in rhythm with it, it'll crush you. It has no love, it has no compassion, it has no intention of helping you, it has no intention of harming you, it has no nothing. If you understand the forces and ride it, you have a fantastic life. If you do not understand, it'll crush you. You've seen people doing surfboarding on the waves in the ocean. It is such a magical thing, just riding the waves. But if you don't do it right, if you go into the waves, it's like being in a concrete mixer, it'll just do that and it'll kill you. So one rides the wave, another gets crushed by the wave, that is all that's happening. The rest is all human interpretations. This is the first thing we have to stop, that we do not extend our thought and emotion to the existence. This is relevant between you and me. This is relevant between you and your family members. You love them, I love you, you love me, all this fine. Don't look up at the sky and say, I love you. It will not say, I love you back. because it has no such need. It's pure existence. This is what you have to become. If you sit here, you are a complete existence by yourself. This is a full-fledged life. It does not need anything from anybody. It has everything. It is connected with everything in the universe. It does not need anything. But we want to play our games, okay, we can do all this stuff, but you need to understand right now, we are trying to extend our compulsions to the whole creation. It doesn't work like that. Existence is not trying to help you. You may be in tune with it, bingo, you are. Whether you got in tune with it consciously or unconsciously, somehow you got in tune. That's why Shankara said, yogaratova bhogaratova. That means somehow you do it, I don't care. Your Shankara, Adi Shankara went to the extent of somehow you do it. You get it, man, that's important. How you get it, who cares?
Sadhguru, I am constantly torn between my senior colleagues who are extremely skilled surgeons. Sadhguru, on the heart, there are some procedures which are done by very few people on this planet. I'll give an example. I do an operation called pulmonary endarterectomy. That's the blood clots from the leg goes to the lung arteries and it clogs up all the arteries. So 25 years ago, there was no cure for this. And once you're diagnosed, you're destined to die within a year. Today, people who are on home oxygen for 2 years, 3 years, you do the operation, they can go back to skydiving or they can go to scuba diving. That's the transformative effect. But there are only 50 surgeons, less than 50 surgeons in this world who can operate. And like this, we have some of my colleagues who are extremely gifted surgeons. They are in their 50s now. And some of them are constantly talking about retirement. Especially one surgeon who is an extremely gifted surgeon who can fix any damaged valve. He is single, he has no other commitments. Every other day he talks about going to Benares or somewhere and retire, and I keep telling him that God didn't create him to retire and meditate. He has to be fixing all these problems. So he gives me extension every 6 months, Guruji. So at the end of 6 months, the usual rigmarole starts. He talks about retirement and everybody is depressed in the hospital. So how do you deal with this kind of people?
You must give him a 1-year sabbatical with me. Yes. Because the need or the idea of retirement enters anybody's mind because of the monotony of what they're doing, whatever it may be. Somebody else may think it's a great thing, but in your experience, somewhere it's becoming monotonous or stagnant. Stagnation is one thing that human intelligence and human system cannot take. And most of the ailments are because of stagnation of life. They may be getting their, once in 3 years promotion, they may be making a little more money, all these things may be happening. But somewhere experientially there is a stagnation, which could be a major cause for many of the complex ailments that people manufacture within their systems. The more complex they get, you try to create more talented surgeons. I'm saying we are manufacturing the problems, we are trying to manufacture a solution. I think as we offer solutions, people who have already gotten into problems, they need solution. But it's very important that we teach people how not to create these problems, so that instead of 50, you have to produce 5,000 expert surgeons to attend to all these people who are on self-help to illness. I would say a surgeon who has a certain competence and who has worked through his life, if he wants to explore something of his own nature, that would be the greatest thing to do, because he's not a man without commitment, not competence. When competence and commitment is there, you should not run him through the rigmarole and destroy that possibility. It's important that he explores something of his own nature, which will make him… we don't know what he'll come up with. You cannot even estimate what he may come up with. I think a sabbatical is good. He may come up with something that you've not thought possible.
I will convey your message, Sadhguru. I'm sure he's watching this program. Sadhguru, I believe that talent is something which is grossly exaggerated in success. When I was in medical school, I used to teach martial art. That was my passion. And every time a Bruce Lee's movie was released, all these school kids would come and join in hordes to martial arts schools. We used to call it Bruce Lee phenomenon.
They're gone after 2 weeks.
Yes. And I used to see some kids whose physique is meant for martial art, who have the natural flair, and I used to think, oh, this kid is going to get a black belt. And interestingly, Swamiji, after 6 months, they're never there. The guys who go up to the black belt and, do something very good in martial art are the ones joined the school without any skills, without any talent, who worked very, very hard. For everything they had to sweat it out. But in the end, they are the ones who succeed. How do you explain this phenomenon?
For a variety of reasons, let me not go beyond this. For a variety of reasons, a certain individual could be born with a certain flair, physical flair, mental flair, emotional flair, style. 5-year-old child, one has style, other is clumsy. So the one with the style is not going to become necessarily a fashion thing. Somebody else who seems to be clumsy may grow into something else. Like, you don't know when a woman is pregnant, the child within that womb, whether it's a sage or a sorcerer. Nor the woman know. The mother does not know whether she is producing a sage or a sorcerer or what. This is because… I use the word coherence because of modern science is using that word. Who you are here right now, as you sit, this is physics. Every subatomic particle is in constant contact with everything. What you call as cosmos is living life and it's a live mind. You have captured only one small part of it. If you work with only that one small part of what you have captured, both as life and as intelligence, you will function at a certain level. If you apply yourself to break the barriers of your limitations that you've set for yourself, then there is an intelligence beyond anybody's understanding, beyond anybody's estimate, which is available to you. Once this is available to you, people think you're superhuman. No, this is not about being superhuman. This is about realizing that being human is super. The immensity of being human has not been realized. So we are always making a kind of a mathematical calculation. Okay, if this person has this much IQ, maybe this is what he will become. This is what Newton's law, that everything that moves on this planet works to a mathematical precision or a geometric precision. That is, if you take a pendulum, the length of the pendulum will decide how it will swing. If you take a projectile, depending upon its mass, velocity and the trajectory, it will go to a certain place. That is not how the cosmos is working, because what you think is physical and not physical is all mixed up within this human being. The physical self, the psychological self, the emotional self and who you call as myself, the life within you, the fundamental life process, these are all different dimensions. And the innermost core of who you are, which… because all the other words are corrupted, I'll use the word life or just you, what you call as me. This, if you allow it, if you do not identify it with any form, with your physical form or with other different identities what you take on, it has a way of being cohesive or collaborative with everything around. When we say somebody worked hard, all he's trying to do is stretch his boundary of identity, isn't it? He's trying to stretch his boundary. If he succeeds to stretch his boundary, something that he never thought possible or imagined that is within his competence or capability becomes his. Miraculously, I can show you hundreds of people who come to me, we prepare them for a certain period and then we initiate them. In 24 hours, you will see the shape of their face will change. Genetics are altered in 24 hours' time. You can see the photographic images, they have actually changed dramatically overnight simply because of a certain extension of their identity. So, in the Indian spiritual milieu, when you say spiritual, we must understand this. This is not about looking up or looking down. When we say spiritual, we are talking about transcending the limitations of physical. So right now, the physical is here as if it's a solid entity in people's experience. But modern physics is telling you and medical science is beginning to tell you, or if people don't understand, if they just hold their nose for 2 minutes, they understand that they are not an independent existence. It is in transaction, not just in terms of breath. Even on the level of subatomic particles, it's in constant transaction. If this transaction becomes even minutely conscious, suddenly you have immense capabilities that you never thought were possible. Biological identity is the most limiting identity that you have because it limits to the area of your body. Now when you strive, you break this. It doesn't matter in what way you strive. Most people strive in unconscious, unscientific, simply out of striving, they do things. But there are ways to strive scientifically in a proper way. There are tools to strive with specific direction to break the limitations of who we are. If you break this boundary, the subatomic particles are transacting, the intelligence is transacting, only you're missing the whole game. If you don't miss the game, if you are in the game of life, not in the game of thoughts and emotions, you are in the game of life, suddenly just about anything you want you can do, not this or that. I'm saying anything a human being can do, simply if he breaks his barriers. And these barriers are many levels, but the most fundamental thing is the identity. Nothing inspires. When I say nothing inspires me, uninspired, I'm on 20 hours a day. If I inspired, I'll expire. It's better I'm not inspired. I'm bored with everything, but I do everything with absolute involvement and intensity. Nobody has ever seen me doing anything slight. But I'm thoroughly bored because it's so silly and stupid. There are other things I could do for which very few people are ready. Not many people are prepared for that level of perception. Slowly we are increasing that number, it's there. But the rest of the activity is a dumbed-down stuff of my life. 90% of my life is just dumbed-down activity. People think it's great, it's their problem. In my experience, it's just dumbed-down stuff. If you do the real thing, then the audience is too small. So preparing the rest of the audience for the real thing. Preparation is taking decades of work So, I'm here to do something really inspiring. This sense of no human being should live in an unconsecrated space is something which is deep-rooted in this culture, because it is just like if you plant something into this earth,
Only if the roots are sticking into a rich earth will the flower and the fruit come out. If the earth into which these roots are sticking in is not rich enough, is not enhanced enough to sustain life, flower and fruit will not come. Even if it comes, it will be too meager. It will never be a full-blown flowering, it'll never be a full-blown fruiting of the plant. So always these aspects, we gave enormous importance to these aspects of life. It's not just about what you eat, it's not just about what kind of work you do, what kind of space you live in. This is very important in the East. So, people always consecrated their homes in whichever way they know best, and only then moved. If the kings were sensible and benevolent, they consecrated the whole town. They created any number of places in the town so that the whole town is consecrated. He wants everybody to live in consecrated spaces. If you walk on the street, if you do business, if you live in that town, everyone must constantly live in consecrated space, because if you want to produce generations of enhanced human beings, you need this kind of space. Otherwise, only by accident or by personal dint, somebody may become something. You won't produce a generation of beautiful people. This culture produced a galaxy of knowledge, galaxy of enlightened beings. Every generation produced this simply because they took care of any number of aspects like this. Nowhere else on this planet have single generations of people risen to such glorious heights of knowing as this culture has known. But all that got fractured in the last few hundred years. In the last 800 to 900 years, this got badly fractured because of invasions and displacement of people and so many things. You can produce very great intellects, very great energy as human beings, I'm saying, individual human beings carrying phenomenal sense of energy and intellect and capability. If you create large spaces of consecrated space, large consecrated spaces where the whole generation of people are in touch with that kind of energy and space. This fortune almost every family had, because before they moved into homes, they did this. Periodically they did something to enhance the house. This is part of almost every house. Every household at least once a year conducted the needed rituals and processes to see that the space in the house is enhanced. A basic understanding, or rather an essential understanding of how to generate a conducive atmosphere for a human being to grow to his full potential